Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brand. As always, I have my co-host. Hi ladies.
Hello, Morayo.
Like in the building.
Yo.
I love the
I'm
drink.
back on the block.
Yes, so.
If I may, welcome back, Waiki.
Thank you.
That's true. Nima is just seeing you on set.
Yes, so we saw at Macron.
You're on that matter. That matter.
I beg, I have to. There is this thing. I heard it on Wake Up Nigeria this morning. They say, "How was your night?" People keep asking me, "How was your night?"
I say,
so I have now decided that when they ask me, "How was your night?" I will say, "Well, I had sex throughout the night." That will stop them. Because why are you asking me how was my night?
I always say I was on.
Are you a
Yeah, I say I was on top. He was underneath. Is that okay? Do you want further information?
It's a Nigerian thing.
People, are you people?
How was your night?
These women.
What is your business with my night?
It's a Nigerian
No, they just want to know, did you sleep well night? So they just sleep
They
well.
just said, "Did you sleep well?" Yes or no. How was your night?
The Nigerian said, I beg,
But me, I can ask
accept
you.
us. That's how we are. How was your night?
Why don't you ask me how was my
can
night?
ask
You have never
I
asked
know
me.
exactly how your night was, Mike.
I think that these two people
You're
are the
always
people that
busy.
they have a coup for everything.
How you doing, Nima?
Very well. So thank you to Mansard Collections for my hijab. They decided to gift me. My sisters are really doing well. They are trying to dress me on the show.
It's fantastic. It's good to
We are going to
represent
get them. But yesterday, when my sister finally made headlines, I didn't like the way the Gege did not go. So the law school called Frida Samasa to bar on Tuesday. And it was a lot of fanfare for us at the Hijab Rights Advocacy Initiative. So when my phone started ringing, that your people did not talk about it enough, I said, okay, they didn't know that she was dressed exactly like that a year ago when she was denied the call. So the hijab, for her, because of what she has done, she's brought a breakthrough. A lot of sisters were seen in their skull cap, the side I wore, that they threw out and abused me at my call.
What I read in Punch was that this time around, he was tucked in. I'll show you. I'll show you in the club.
I have
the clip exactly how.
Just go on my pages. You see the old picture last call and the new picture this call. Exactly how she was dressed, and that's how most of us dress to court. Some courts allow it. So Sister Mutia, the director, goes to court with her hijab tucked in like that, and her collar right over it. So when you put the gown over it, it's neatly done.
So the case is nice addressed.
So it's settled.
Okay, fantastic.
So we can now be
Some courts allow it, so some courts don't allow
Some
it.
judges still used to pick on us, but that will stop following this now. So it's just a discrimination thing. So you see us and say, you're in my face and all that, but that will stop now.
Okay,
so sisters can now
congratulations,
practice
the
their
hijabites.
profession.
I'm
Really?
doing amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
only Nima they are dressing on this couch. Please, the Igbo sisters and the Yoruba sisters, where are they? We need dresses, you know? we need to be dressed.
You're not dressed already.
We need more.
Don't mind that. Dress this girl.
Dress more than
She'll be
this.
feeling bad.
It's not bad that I used to do this offshore that we should get plenty calls. Like, married woman, you just see, they'll start calling you now.
It doesn't
You know how many
matter.
people that called me when time Tokwe goes off shoulders? Oh my goodness.
She called me on
You need to
Tokwe
caution her. And I'm like, she's an adult.
Okay, there's a new person
My
now.
friend called me all the way from London. Why is she dressing like that? I know, since
Did you
it's
get
me,
the
I
fact
didn't really
that
say
3
anything wrong
weeks,
with it.
She did an Instagram post, someone was calling me. In fact, they made the drama out of it, but fortunately she took out the picture. I don't know why.
It's good. People should be left to dress the way they want to dress. Freedom of dress.
There is NBC watching us. So.
Abi,
Those are our police.
but these ones are
Yeah,
our
social
watchdogs.
They are not
Anyways, it's
empty.
Thursday.
true.
Any plans for the weekend? Why can you here tomorrow?
No,
What are you planning to do
unfortunately
this
not.
weekend? Any
Yes,
big
They have plans.
You know my plans. You know I've been away for 2.5 months, so I have.
Oh my
My
God.
God.
Let me talk about my plans.
Uncle XYZ, please take it easy
I'll
with
be
the auntie.
How was your night
I'll
plans?
be speaking.
So you're going to be busy all this
Calm
weekend.
down now.
Please, I'll be speaking at the
Waike is
NASFAT.
almost 60 years old, and she's busier than many of us.
No,
Is that how-
not
that's so
busier than
unfair.
me.
Don't worry,
No,
our
in fact,
grandson
as a
is
grandmother,
coming
I've stopped all that. As a grandmother, I've stopped
Chinek.
everything.
Oh, you're celibate.
I don't do it again.
You're celibate.
I don't do it again.
Camera, please.
I don't do it again.
Like, you're celibate.
I'm celibate as
How?
a grandmother. How can I be a grandmother and still be
Hanging your leg.
No.
Please let me announce where I'll be on Saturday. So in the morning on
please
Saturday,
tell
I'll be
us.
speaking to the female wing of the NASFAT youth at Mafoluku, Oshodi.
Okay.
They made their posters. I saw it yesterday. My name is boldly written. So I don't want to come and fail them.
No, you
Okay,
cannot.
fantastic. So while Nima is speaking, Waike is getting
I'm
busy.
speaking to on Saturday. I
How
have a
Mina is
conference.
this? We young people are speaking, and since I was speaking
Our old
yesterday,
people
I
are-
went to primary school, I was speaking.
Some
we are
people
speaking.
are hanging legs.
Some 60-year-old women are getting busy. Anyway, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Oh my God.
let's go. Starting with the Punch. Drama as Fayose whips. Claims he was beaten by police. It's comedy of the year, says APC. Picture here of the governor, the executive governor of Ekiti State, in neck braces. Chiefs elevated by Ajimobi may not become Olubadan, says Obade Tunji. South Africans attacking Nigerians are criminals, says Ramaphosa. Certificate allegedly issued by to Adeosun fake, says ex-NYSC director. My security team are racking their brains on how to end killing, says Buhari. Police say 3 people killed Ondo ex-deputy governor's daughter. When are we talking Fayose?
Look, let's just quickly talk Ondo. We'll talk Fayose.
The young girl that was killed.
So another twist to the story. I read it over the night where the alleged boyfriend was saying that I didn't kill her. She brought in 2 guys to my house who killed her, held a gun to my head and made me get them a digger to bury her in my room. And the police are now saying in the Punch today, in a drama style, that no, he had dug out the body to go and dispose properly because he could not stay in the room due to the smell. And
he was about to. They got a link, what they call, to the story, tip to the story, and they quickly rushed in and arrested him. But the story,
he's saying all he did was he provided a digger.
Yeah, he said she came with the 2 boys, and
so they're looking for these 2 people that were absconded.
These 2 boys that.
Okay, let's take one more story.
Yeah, I have a story that the security team, Buhari.
Yes, so they're racking their brains.
Yeah, said that we should be patient with them. That the security issue is on top of the table. They are looking into it. They are racking their brains on how to give a final solution to what is happening. We should not think they're not doing
to the 200 people that were killed in Benue the other day.
We need to see action from
the ones that happened in Sokoto yesterday.
They're racking it in Ekiti because half of them are in Ekiti.
The ones that died yesterday in Sokoto.
Yes, now, so let's move on to Daily Sun. Let's move on to Daily. Nigeria's democracy on the siege, says Wike. We'll take Fayose in another paper. Deputy Governor Imo Assembly directs Chief Judge to constitute 7-man panel. Adeosun, federal government backs NYSC on exemption certificate. National Assembly rejects Buhari's Executive Order 6. Terrorism, 113 Boko Haram members jailed. So what was Boko Haram that was jailed?
We both have the story.
Go ahead.
But let me quickly take Obiajulu will take it. The Deputy Governor of Imo State. So hopefully this democracy will see the proper impeachment process that has been instituted against the Deputy Governor. According to them, on the request of the governor, who has fallen out with the Deputy Governor, they've instituted a 7-man panel. I like to see the House of Assembly, at least one in this dispensation, take out an impeachment process. So starting from the 7-man panel, investigating what gross misconduct is, impeaching a sitting executive.
Yes.
And let students who are learning in law schools or somewhere learn how impeachment works.
So
we've not seen any House of Assembly
because you want
working.
to learn, they should impeach somebody.
No, if they know what gross misconduct is, they define it properly,
no problem.
they can go ahead
I'll
and
just mess
impeach
with you.
it.
So the special courts designated to try terrorism sentenced 113 Boko Haram terrorists to jail. But the people who were sentenced were 2. Zainab, one of the the Boko Haram leaders' wives, and 1 other guy. But the other 11, they are coming out to say that they don't have enough evidence to, sentence them. So they had to dismiss. Some of the cases were thrown out of court.
I read the story, very painful. 2 stories. Kabiru Mohammed was a Boko Haram kingpin. He carried out too many crimes.
Was a leader.
The other guy carried out 6 killings, and he said claimed at the court that he threw the bomb in a river, but he was claimed to have bombed a marketplace. And if we finally convict these guys and convict them for sentences like 30 years imprisonment, 25 years imprisonment, I don't think it's deterrent enough.
Let's move on. I was going to take the Olubadan story. About this, was saying that if the new chiefs keep disobeying and disrespecting the monarch, they will never become an Olubadan in future. Moving on now to New Telegraph. 2019. The reformed APC goes after Oshomole, petitions INEC. Security agents ground Kaduna over El Zakzaki. Policemen slapped tear gassed me, says Fayose. The El Zakzaki story, I think it was in Kaduna, obviously because he's a highly
sensitive case.
Sensitive case. So all the major business districts were shut down because he was passing through. So people were obviously complaining that because
they said they're going to do the bail trial on the 2nd of August.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't really understand. This is like his human rights have been totally. He has been in jail since 2015.
Violated.
He's been finally charged, but unfortunately, he was charged alongside others whose charges were not able to serve them their charges. They are at large, so the court usually they will come to court and come again till they get the order for substituted service before they can go on.
Okay, let's move very quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Ekiti boils Fayose in neck brace, whips, says policemen beat me, pushed me. Police used tear gas, dispersed PDP's victory walk rally. We stopped rally to prevent breakdown of law and order, says police. Court jails 113. Boko Haram members, we talked about that already. Adeosun certificate saga. We have nothing to add to what NYSC said, says federal government. Many killed, 32 buried as bandits attack Sokoto villages. Galadima writes INEC 6 nullification of Oshiomhale's election. Reps reject Executive Order 6 as Senate summons AGF. And how Ondo ex-deputy governor's daughter was killed in my room. Let's talk about Fayose, but first, let me just talk about the NYSC. I think Alhaji Lai Mohammed...
Fayose in Vanguard.
Okay, Alhaji Lai Mohammed was saying here with the certificate that he's not going to say anything in addition to what NYSC has already said. And NYSC said they can verify that she did apply for that exemption. But they were silent on if the indeed was issued, when it was issued, and by whom it was issued.
An ex-director with the NYSC came out on the TV yesterday to say that the kind of certificate that he saw was impossible that NYSC issued it. It's certainly fake because there was a discrepancy between who was DG at the time she got her certificate at the time. And then there's also a requirement that if you graduate at under 30, even though it takes you 60 years to come back to this country, you will not qualify for exemption. So
and she graduated at
22, stayed over in the UK and then came out when she was past 30 for an exemption. She wouldn't have been granted an exemption.
Okay. So, let's move on now to Vanguard. Ekiti policemen tear gas Fayose PDP supporters. I'll soon sign the AFCTA, that's Buhari talking. Nothing to add to NYSC's position, says federal government. The reformed APC petitions INEC to invalidate Oshiomhale 17 others election. Grazing, Miyetti Allah expresses shock over Southeast governor's decision. I have that story. But let's take Fayose now before we run out of time.
Fayose, who wants to take it?
I can take it.
No, not why I can take it. No, you should establish it, why I can take it. What happened? Listen, let's not trivialize this issue. He's an executive governor.
Okay.
So before we start making fun of what happened, he's a drama king, he's not drama.
Okay.
This is the governor of a state.
The executive governor, who is covered by an immunity clause in the Constitution, was yesterday claimed to have been attacked by policemen at a PDP victory rally that he carried out from the government house.
Right.
And he claimed that he was shot at, tear gassed, and butted with a gun to the extent that he's now wearing a necklace.
Neck brace.
Momo. So the problem for me is that a sitting governor is also entitled to security details, the type no other human in the state is entitled to. So what was his security detail doing, the DSS around him, the police around him doing, when another set of police were butting him and tear gassing him? And it's sad and very bogus for me that at that rally, he was the only one attacked. Other people around him at a rally were not claiming to have been injured.
No. I even watched it on the news. He was, the deputy governors, his deputy governor said he was attacked. A lot of them, I even saw a video. Someone was videoing it while it was happening. And look at the police are harassing us. They're shooting at everybody. They're going to kill us, but we will not agree.
Yeah.
So the police were saying, a lot of them were attacked. Let me finish. Okay. A lot of them were attacked. And Fayose came on TV crying. He was weeping that they did this to me.
You don't need to weep it for us here.
He said, if anything should happen to me, please hold the Inspector General of Police.
They are going to hold him. And indeed, if anything does happen to the governor of Ekiti, because he's the governor of my husband's state, if anything happens to him, I will hold the IGP definitely responsible for
I read an account this morning in the papers that the PDP chairman came out to say that it was an assassination attempt. Yes, that they are planning to take him out.
That's just
whatever is happening.
But the drama happened because two major parties are having their rally on the same day. So according to the police, they were only trying to, but there was a lot of chaos, and they're trying to calm, restore law and order. So that's why they tried to disperse the crowd by throwing tear gas.
The APC rally was day before yesterday. This one was yesterday, as far as I know. So it couldn't have been the same day. The APC rally, because we saw that, and he was even having something where he called the Okada riders on that day.
Yeah.
This one was yesterday. So I don't see how it could have been on the same day.
The point is that regardless of whatever happened, we'll find out the truth later, but the governor of Lagos of Ekiti State claims he was harassed, and the Inspector General should take that claim serious.
They should stop playing politics.
And find out who even allegedly butted my husband's governors
with a gun.
With a gun. What nonsense is that? Please, don't try Ekiti governor. Anyway, let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue our conversation. We'll discuss about rape, because last week we started this conversation on rape. Yes. But this time we're going to focus on young people who are actually allegedly being raped. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So it's no longer news that every day we hear different reports on how girls and women are sexually being violated and raped. The United Nations statistics shows that more than 250,000 cases of rape or attempted rape are recorded by the police annually. Joining us on the show is the co-founder, We Will Not Be Silent in Lagos. Her name is Aisha Shoneka. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
You can call us on Your View. Call us on 070-806-6814. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag Your View TVC so we can read your tweets. Now, Aisha is part of a group of young people who, some of them have been raped, some of them have experienced it, some of them have had friends who have been almost raped, and they're coming out to say, we will not be silent on this thing. This thing happens in the community. So she's coming out to share with us what she and her team or her colleagues are doing towards this. Tell us what you've experienced concerning these rape allegations against children, especially young people like you.
Okay, so about 2 weeks ago, or last week on Twitter, a certain girl came out and mentioned that this boy, he's quite popular among our youth, said that he raped her friend. And it just opened up this can of worms where everyone was coming out and saying, okay, I was sexually assaulted, and they were supporting names, and some certain names, which we're not going to mention, got quite a few allegations. And it was just a shock to quite a few of us that know them on a personal level that these things happen everywhere. People are raped every day, sexually assaulted. But to know that they're happening to people our age, people in our set of group, it was quite, something so unfathomable. Like, we couldn't understand that, okay, this thing goes on every day and we have to do something about it.
Now, people always allege that it's based on what you wear or the kind of friends you keep, where you go to school, the kinds, those are the kind of things that will lead to young girl being raped. Do you agree, and what have you seen and what have you heard of that would let you agree or disagree?
On the issue of what kind of school you go to, this has totally cancelled whether it's a private or public school, because around last year we had issues of people that were graduating from public schools and, they gang raped them or things like that. But now it's everywhere, both private, public schools. I honestly feel that no matter how you dress, how you look, where you go to, your school, wherever it is, I don't feel that should be a cause for you to get raped, because every boy should be trained once he's growing up that you should have self-control. That I'm wearing a short skirt, I don't necessarily wear them, but that I'm wearing a short skirt doesn't mean that I shouldn't be comfortable enough to walk out on the streets. But there's a level of decency that we girls also have to maintain. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we should keep ourselves in cages just because we're trying to, fit in with the lifestyle and not get raped or assaulted, because danger can happen in any way, in any time. There's some people who are fully covered up and, they still get assaulted or raped.
So in your work or in your experience, I'm sure you've met a lot of girls, some who would never want to talk about it again, who have been stigmatized so much that they don't want to even
join this kind of work that you're staging. So
yes.
How has it been talking to these girls, getting them out of the shell, getting them to come out and call out their rapists?
Okay, it's been quite a journey from about last week since we fully started our organization, because quite a few of them, when they came out on Twitter about last week, 2 weeks ago, a lot of them were anonymous. They were quite scared of, okay, I don't want to mention my name, so that it's either because a lot of them, there's a girl currently who is studying abroad, and Linda Ikechi caught up the story on Twitter when it was going on last week, and she put it on her page, her blog, sorry, and her parents figured out, I don't know how they did it, but they figured out that it was her in the story, and they called and said, that's the end of school, you're coming back home. And one of the people who were, you know, said that, okay, you were one of the people who sexually assaulted or raped, his parents are going around and saying, we're going to sue this person, sue this person, sue this person. So it's not been easy getting people to say, okay, I was sexually assaulted, especially because they don't want to go through the, oh, you're sexually assaulted? Oh, yeah, so there's a stigma that comes with it that, you know, oh, I should hide, I should cower. But
so what would be the objective of the work? Is it to make sure that people take out the stigma and, you know, we call this a crime and fight it as it is?
Yes, along those lines. So the main objective of the work is to spread awareness that this thing is happening everywhere, and we will not be silent, because a lot of the parents of the boys that were called out are trying to silence a lot of the girls. They've called their parents, they've called their friends, threatened them, and we're quite not comfortable with that, honestly.
So I wanted to ask, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Ah, I'm really impressed. I wanted to ask, what plans do you have? You know, your NGO, you're coming out to, you're asking people who have been raped or assaulted to own up, come out and say, I have been. So do you have plans? Because it goes beyond the physical assault.
Or even pronouncing it.
Yes, it gets into physiological, psychological, emotional, and that has a long-lasting effect. So how do you plan to handle that when you finally get people to come out and say, me too?
Okay, so since we just started, we don't have hands-on specialized or, you know, fully specialized people working with us. So there are a few of us that, you know, have gone through either counseling or psychology processes that we're trying to help in our little way. But if we see that's beyond us, we either refer them to quite a few foundations that, you know, have reached out to us and said, okay, we want to help you in this aspect, and we want to help you in this aspect.
Okay,
so that makes it easy
so that
for
those
us.
watching can also be cautious going forward. Can you share one or two personal stories that you've heard that you know what led to the point of the person being raped, what happened exactly, so that people out there can almost be cautious, at least going forward? Are there any stories you'd like to share with us?
Okay,
no names,
I'll
obviously.
share. No names, but a few people might pick up the names from the familiarity of the stories. So there was one where the guy, they were in the school, private school, and he kept, you know, pushing and saying, okay, I want you to give. So in our youth, or in our slang terms, giving means, this is sexually...
No, we get giving.
Giving is...
that you're giving in.
Sexually doing something. And, you know, the girl kept persisting, I'm not interested, I don't want, blah, blah, blah. And turns out that he, you know, kept her in a stairwell, like in the school, one of those stairs case that people don't pass often, and, you know, went with his friends and they were touching, grabbing, everything. And, you know, there's nobody to say, I'm, you know, getting sexually assaulted or anything. And she just felt, let me keep quiet. And there was another one where, you know,
So how did you find out about her?
Through the Twitter thing last week.
So that was multiple rape. A few guys came on her. Okay?
Yeah. So, and then there was another one. A lot of guys go ahead, which is common in our generation. A lot of guys go ahead. You know, once you stay around the girl once in a while, sit next to her in class, when you go to a party, hang around her, you know, and then maybe you go in a bedroom with her. She may not necessarily do anything with you. You may just force yourself on her, try to kiss her, try to, you know, grab her body parts. And then they come out and go, oh, she was so easy. And we're just confused as to, you never did anything. And the girl quite doesn't have a voice to say, okay, this didn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. So it's something very disturbing for a lot of us to hear, because we went to school with these people. And
but you know, one of the major reasons why a parent of a boy would say, I would sue the girl, is because maybe the girl never took through criminal prosecution. So once a girl gets raped, it's important that you quickly approach every primary healthcare center in any part of Lagos, for instance. They have rape kits at every primary healthcare centers, because I work with rape victims as well. They will give you the rape kit. Pick up the specimen. That is what we need for a true, thorough prosecution. Yeah. So once that is true, nobody can sue a girl.
Because one of the things that Aisha is talking about is boys lying that, oh, I slept with her when they didn't even do anything. So they like stigmatize the girls. They
she's loose.
She's loose when she's not. And how can we stop that? Because when I was growing up, that kind of thing happened to girls. Gangbang happened to girls when I was growing up, and nobody used to say anything. I mean, there were some boys that were notorious for it.
I know the boys
even as I'm old, like I know who they are.
You know the boys. Let me let you have some last, because we're going to bring in an expert. But in your, what else would you like to share with us? Especially, there's a walk on Saturday.
Yes,
who are you calling for this walk? Young people or just parents?
Everybody, parents, young people. We want young people to come out and say, okay, we will not be silent because this is happening to our friends, this is happening to everyone. And we want parents to come out and say, it's okay for you to come out and tell me, Mommy, I've been sexually assaulted. Mommy, I've been this. And parents who you have boys who have done these things, kindly, don't be in denial. Don't push your boy, and because you don't know what he's going to do in the next few days, in the next, few years, that's going to blow back on you. So everybody should just come out and let's, spread the awareness, raise.
Where's the walk taking place?
Okay, we're going to start at St. Saviour's Primary School in Ikoyi and, go through Falomo and back to St. Saviour's.
Fantastic. So we'll try to... Well done, Aisha. We're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we're going to have a guest who enlightens us. How do we secure young girls, especially teenagers, from being raped? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on the show is a child protection specialist and consultant. Delightsome Lands, a non-governmental organization, NGO, Angela Lamp Onaiga. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
You can give us a call on 070-80668-014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Thank you for coming, ma'am. We just had Aisha, and there are lots of young girls, even younger, between the teenagers especially. And the reason why I wanted to focus a bit on teenagers, I know children are being raped also, but the reason why I wanted to focus on teenagers a bit, because they are growing, their body parts are changing, they are curious, they are getting to that age where they want to explore, they want to experiment, they're confused on their identity, but none of these things should be an invitation to rape. So it could be that information of, oh, she has this, she has that. People might think that as an invitation. So in your work, as a teenager, how could we handle the situation where young girls are actually getting to this development stage?
A lot of it comes from the parents. Okay. And actually, you don't start talking to your children when they're 12 and 13. You talk to them when they're younger.
Exactly.
And so girls need to know about their bodies and that they need to be able to say, I'm uncomfortable with what the person is doing. So I know the young lady was talking a little while ago about the boy that was touching or saying things. That child should have reported that information to her teacher, to somebody else, her parents or whatever, because some things can be prevented if you take action and be prevented to do that.
You come across as not being cool, because let's all take our minds back to when we're teenagers. You want to be amongst the cool kids. Okay, you kissed a bit, you touched a bit. You have some experience, but you don't want to go all the way. It's that experimental age. Is that a crime today?
Actually, you can't be cool anymore if you want. If to be truthful, because the boy will say, you allowed me to do this. Right. I touched you that day and you didn't say anything. I touched you another day and you didn't say anything. And so what's the problem now? Right. And so when it's your word against their word, they're going to say, yeah, my friends were telling me that you were allowing me to touch you. I told my friends that. So girls have to be on it. They have to be strong. They have to tell their parents. They have to tell their teachers, whoever will listen. And as adults, we need to confront those boys.
So I have a friend who was raped at 16. Now, she bottled everything. She didn't tell her parents. Nobody knew about it. And then now she's in her early 30s and she's finding it difficult to have a relationship because once it gets to getting physical, she starts throwing tantrums and she gets a fit, she's angry, and the guys don't really have time to understand what is going on with you. So how do you help such a person? Because she is successful, she's a businesswoman right now, she's doing well. You would think she came out of it and she's okay. But you know that in the relationship, something is wrong. She can't just, she gets flashbacks when she's sleeping. So how do you help such a person?
That's called post-traumatic stress. And so I have friends who have experienced it as well. And she needs therapy because if you don't get therapy and you don't get help, then those things are bottled up and they come out in different ways. And so if she goes to somebody and she talks to them, she's a professional, talk to another professional and able to talk her way out of it, because many times when you're abused, you think, what did I do? Was, you know, you carry that thing around. You also carry the shame around. And if she's in a relationship, she's probably afraid that the person's not going to accept her because she was abused. So somebody needs to help her get through that as well.
So shame. When I had a rape attempt as a young girl, the mother of the boy came out and said she keeps male friends, and I felt more comfortable among my guys than the girls when I was growing up. So as a teenager at 16, 17, I had more guys. Till date, we still maintain closeness than, you know, the girls. And these guys took it, he or his mom claimed that, you know, that was a cue for what he did. And when my mother called him out and went to the family and said, he attempted to rape her in my own house, and she talked about it, because I came out immediately, I told me I won't even, and everybody just poured it. You know, I felt like I could die.
Poured it on you.
The mother came out and said she keeps guys. So I felt like I could die. How do you get a girl in that situation to ever come out and say no?
Well, one of the things that was great about your situation is that your mother believed you and she did something about it. The other thing, when you're talking about the boys, we always focus on what the girls should do, but we need to train our boys as well. We need to talk to them about not touching, being inappropriate, respecting them. You respect your mom, why wouldn't you respect this young lady? And when we see our boys doing stuff, we turn our heads. We don't say things. And that mom who did that, who knows what her son did in the future, because she didn't stop it then. And so I applaud your mother, and I applaud you for speaking up about it.
Okay, let me take Yinka. Yinka, are you there? Yinka?
Yeah, hello.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, hello. Now, this is what I'm about to say. You have been talking about every program about the girl child, about raising a girl child or something like that. But there is no program about boys.
I wanted
to come there.
What kind of society are we trying to do today? We are trying to raise proper, decent girls. But the guy, are we trying to raise peace? There should be programs on guys too. See, these boys, they're just coming up. They need to be well trained. Because if you are trying to have all program about a girl this, how to empower a lady, they are not trying to raise the balanced society.
Point taken, Yinka. Thank you very much. A lot of focus have been actually put on the girl child being raped, but we are finding more information these days that boys are actually being raped by their aunties, by their house helps.
So true.
So in that kind of situation, how do we help the boy child? Let me let Waiki also jump in here.
Yeah, I know a lot of boys who their first sexual encounter was with the house help.
Certainly.
Yes.
You know, maybe at 8 or 9. So there is that. And then there's another thing. I know of this girl who was raped by armed robbers. She was a virgin and everything, and it was traumatic for her. But what I found strange was the mother telling people that, my daughter was raped, the armed robbers came and raped her. Do you think that is appropriate?
The daughter is entitled to her own story. And so I know that people do that, and the mom may have been trying to help, but in her helping, she was shaming the girl because the mom is telling everyone the girl actually needs probably some privacy and needs some help, some personal help, because everybody doesn't understand rape. And so when you put it out there that the girl was raped, then people start to point fingers and blame the girl. So I won't say the mom was wrong, but it's probably something that's inappropriate and she shouldn't be doing.
Okay, let's move back to the boy's story, because I don't want us to leave that story. The boy's story. How does the boy get raped? And what can we do to prevent boys from being raped?
I have so many stories about boys being raped. I'm from the U.S., but we work with families from everywhere. And many times, I was just actually talking to someone on the way here, many times we leave our kids vulnerable. Say you have an older cousin who's in the home, and the parents are working all day and the cousin is watching the kids. And so that child is vulnerable and the cousin starts touching the child, being inappropriate with the child. But the child is afraid to tell because that cousin actually lives in that home. 90% of the children that are victimized by somebody they know, either their parent, their cousin, the house help, somebody really familiar with them. And so when we talk about what can we do for boys, we need to educate boys like we educate girls. In the church that I belong to, there's all kinds of education in the church where they talk about sex abuse, being inappropriate, respecting girls, all of those things. We can do that on
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to let you come in, but I just remembered something. Somebody sent me a Twitter message a couple of days ago. This game we all played as children, mommy and daddy. Everybody had this, you're the mommy, you're the daddy, and you start doing what mommy and daddy does. We all had it growing up, where you had your cousin as the daddy, you're the mommy, and you guys go under the sheets, and the rest is history. Now, today, these things still happen. Kids still play mommy and daddy. How can children still play, yet be responsible?
That's normal. That's normal behavior for kids to emulate their parents. But when kids have been sexually abused, you can tell that they've been sexually abused because they know more than what they know words, they are touching themselves, they're masturbating, they're touching other kids inappropriately. Those are the times when you know somebody is touching that child and doing something inappropriately.
I had an experience like that as a teacher. Kids, think about 4 or 5, go under the table and they are touching their parts in class. So we had to call on their parents to come to school, what exactly is happening, how many rooms are you staying, and all of that. So this, according to the parents, they had their rooms, everybody sleeps in their room. There was nothing, according to them, that they've done in the presence of those kids to have warranted that. So how do you draw the line between what the children see or what they hear from people outside if you say it's not you as a parent? Because we go to work. You can't be in the home all day.
And it may be true that it didn't happen, that they are not emulating their parents, but they may be watching something on TV that's inappropriate. They may be watching movies that are inappropriate. Yes, and a lot of people, when they're grooming children, they will show them pornography. And so that's where they're getting it from.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, because now I'm getting worried, because all my kids stay in one room, and I'm getting worried. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Okay, thanks for staying with us. Well, I want to take this back to parents, because children that are very vulnerable, you know, they can't speak. These are young people who, they're just young. They've been exposed to those at home. Toddlers, kids. As a parent, what can you do? What kind of sexual education do you give a child to help them communicate? Because what Aisha was telling us earlier, yes, kids get the confidence to say it, but then they realize that parents are not there to back them up. So how do we start this from a very tender age?
And that's where we do have to start. As soon as your children are using words, and kids can start saying words at 18 months or whatever, you teach them body parts, because we've had kids and they're trying to tell us that they've been abused, but they're using inappropriate words, so we don't know what those words, we don't know what they're talking about. And so usually we have experts that can work with them to, to figure it out. But as parents, we teach our kids about private areas. We need to tell them that all the time. I taught my son from a very early age about private areas and being uncomfortable or saying, I don't like this. We can give them words like stranger, danger, or something like that. So if a stranger is approaching them, my son used to do that all the time. He used to, kind of drive me crazy when he would do that, but he knew that somebody shouldn't approach him. So those are all the gifts, I say, you can give your child.
I'll let you come in, Obiajile, but it's summertime. Kids are taking their kids to summer camp. You know, you're trusting them with pastors, with guardians, with moms, with teachers. They're going to be there for a week or 2 weeks. How, as a parent, do I ensure that my child is safe for during the summer period?
And to just help you, because while we were offset, we spoke about what you call grooming, is because these are sexual organs and the children might start to enjoy it. They don't know it's wrong. How can we stop them from the grooming? What the uncle is doing to me is all right, too.
Exactly.
When it can happen, I don't know if I'm a woman. I wouldn't know how it will happen with a boy. Exactly. But I'm sure if you touch a boy's private, he will.
Yes. Because there are organs that are supposed to be aroused. Yes. If you start to arouse those organs, he thinks it's a good thing.
Yes, but we can teach them when they're only mommy can touch you. Only mommy should be changing your clothes, or mommy and daddy, or whatever. You can teach your kids all of these things, because all of the learning and the comfortableness needs to come from the parents. And so when you see your children show signs even if they can't talk. If they're afraid when a person comes in the room, why is my child afraid of that person? Why is my child running from that person? When you're insisting that they go over uncle's house and they say, I don't want to go there, we should be listening to that.
So we know teenagers are being raped. There's a growing trend now of babies being raped. Now, these babies have not enticed anybody in their diaper or anything. There was a video circulating about last week or 2 weeks ago where a boy was raping a baby boy and recorded it for over how many minutes? How do you stop those from happening?
What the hell was the matter?
Well, I don't know that situation, but it's not something that just started.
Yeah.
It's been going on
and the parents,
forever.
You wonder what the parents
It's been going on forever.
Grandfather's rape.
Okay, I'll come to you. Let me take this call from Frank. Frank has been holding for a while. Frank, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Frank. I'm calling from Ikeja. I'm not an expert, but I have a contribution to make.
Go ahead.
I noticed that there are some things I call like gateway behaviors. There's this common thing in our society that a lot of either grown-ups call little kids my husband or my wife. Like it's something I stand against. I try to tell, I have a neighbor that one time somebody told me that the daughter is my wife. I cautioned her immediately. I said, no, she's not my wife. If you don't say that, it is wrong. She is, you can say she's my daughter, but don't say that. Because parents, kids notice, they emulate what we do more than what we tell them.
Thank you very much, Frank. I have to cut you off because I have to run up, because that's part of what Mike was saying, the grooming part. Yes. I call you my wife. Oh, you're my girlfriend. Gradually, I start to touch. You just hold your cheeks a bit. Gradually, so the grooming starts to the point of penetration, and that's what we need to caution our
what age?
Parents.
And then can I take some tips before
because
we go?
I had an experience with my daughter. Once we did rape here when she was about 2. I spoke with a colleague then, Lola, and she told me she taught her daughter early enough. So at 2, I got my daughter to understand what it was and made sure she washes herself when I'm not there. So she's been doing it since she was 2, and we're confident with the way she's grown. How early can you start, and how do you go about teaching girls, for instance, to take care of those parts when it comes to washing up or, when you're not there and all that?
But you should teach your boys too. Don't think they don't rape boys.
They do rape boys, they do rape girls. And you're always talking to your children. They may not understand everything that you're saying, but you start talking to them as early as 2 and 3 years old. But I wanted to say something else. The other thing, and I know we do it in African-American culture, we do it in African cultures, is we call everybody auntie and uncle. I was way like a teenager before I didn't realize these people were not really my auntie and uncle. I think we need to be telling them, we say that out of respect, but that really isn't your aunt and uncle, and you shouldn't be trusting all these people. So that's another thing that I think we should be telling our children.
Let's take some tweets, please, very quickly.
Yeah, Mr. Michael, guys also get raped too, but we seem to downplay it and talk more about female folk. I know a guy, not boy, who was assaulted, but many people do not believe, and instead he is laughed at. Eniton, Ray says, rapists should be severely punished, prosecuted no matter the age, to serve as a lesson to prospective wolves out there. The victim of rape is never to be blamed. Please stop placing so much focus on how to avoid getting raped. We need to work on how to stop people from raping.
We have to round up, unfortunately, but I think there are two things we focused on here. The little vulnerable ones, babies. And it starts with parents, training and teaching the children, understanding their body parts so they know when to speak and give them enough confidence to talk about their parts.
And screening the caregivers that are taking care of your children.
Screening your caregivers. And then on the teenagers, because your body is changing, unfortunately, you can't allow those sexual exploration as you would like to, because now these times to be as though you're invited the men to do this. So as a teenager, if your body's changing, have that conversation with your girlfriends, but don't, please correct me if I'm wrong. Find a way to get your boundaries so that you don't get men into your space. Because if you do, you have no case. They will say you invited them. Is that correct?
You have a case.
There's something about psychology.
But you say no,
but you need to just keep your boundaries.
Right.
Yes.
You know, we all have private space from here.
3 feet.
Is it 3 feet?
3 feet
around
private
me.
Space. Yeah. 3 feet around me, please.
It's not 3 feet. It's this place. How many feet? How many meters is it?
Tell them. All right. Unfortunately, we have to run up. I know you're the convener of the Delightsome Lands, right? And what do you do there?
I help consult with them on child sex abuse, and so I do presentations like this, give advice, those types of things, fantastic. But they actually need more resources.
So we do go. Yes. So you can check out the Delightsome Lands for that.
Yes.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. We're going to continue this rape series. I think next week we're talking about rape in marriage. Can you actually rape your spouse? That'll be our focus next week, Thursday. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.